So Canada's 23-player squad for the Women's World Cup has been released. And let's talk about this real quick. So the 23 players, I think a lot of Canadian fans were speculating, especially once you saw Jade Rose wouldn't be available. That led to a lot of speculation. Who could come in? I think the easy answer was bringing a Gabby Carl. That's the easy replacement along the back line and kind of go with that. I started to think to myself, okay, what's the other thing? What's the crazy thing they could do here that could change the entire trajectory on the other side? And it was a conversation I had with some people, some fans, and it was, do we need another defender? Could we not bring a defender and instead bring maybe another midfielder or another forward to add to the attack? And they did both. So let's go over this 23-player roster. Lyciane Prou, goalkeeper, Kaylin Sheridan, and Sabrina D'Angelo. Welland, we hear you. Stand up, Welland. All right. And let's just go over the graphic we have here. Simia Wujo, Deanna Rose, Evelyn Vienne, Vanessa Gilles, Shalina Zadorsky, Elisa Chapman, Quinn, Jessie Fleming, Olivia Smith, Michelle Prince, Gabby Carl, Jade Riviere, Adriana Leon, Kadisha Buchanan, Sophie Schmidt, Ashley Lawrence, Christine Sinclair, Chloe Lacasse, Jordan Heidem, and Julia Grosso. I am saying Olivia Smith was my chaotic choice. And not that it's a chaotic choice to have her in, but you saw the players, Marie-Esmine Alidou feels like a player that was between her and those two. And then the closer to me came down to if Michelle Prince wasn't going to be ready to go. Based off what we had heard, I truly didn't think that a player like Desiree Scott would be ready. And as we looked and saw, that was the case. With no Desiree Scott, that's what you have. So this roster breaks down very interestingly. I think that's the big surprise. Not that they brought Carl. I think I expected they would bring Carl. But the big surprise was, but we're also bringing Olivia Smith over those other players. And maybe it's just because I follow them, so the recency of seeing them really started to bounce into me. But this means that they only have, technically speaking, 5 forwards. You have 5 midfielders. You have 7 players who can play in the midfield, right? Looking at Sinclair or an Olivia Smith can drop back and be in that midfield, almost in that if they want to go on a 4-4-2 diamond type of a shape, or if they want to go a 4-3-3. I think a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3 when that may be the option moving forward with that, or a 4-1-2-1-2, or 4-1-2-2-1 versus a 1-2-1-2. Because a 1-2-1-2 is more of a diamond in that sense. But what does that mean? I think ultimately we see that Quinn, Fleming, Grosso midfield eventually. But then now it comes down to what do we do at the 9? I think Bev looks at this, and this is me speculating again, we all know this. Maybe Bev looks at this and says, scoring goals has been our problem, not necessarily defending. So why not add an Olivia Smith and see what she can do? Another player. With Lacasse there, you have Rose there, you have Prince there. Glad to see Prince there. Prince was trained beforehand. This does make me think we could finally see that. I think the ideal 11 for this group, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But I think that midfield, you see that. The back line, I don't think there's any questions of what it is. It's more likely Gilles, Buchanan as your center backs, with Jade Riviere as well as Ashley Lawrence as your fullbacks. And then your front 3, this is where it gets very interesting. No Becky, so more than likely, I think it should be. But it's tough because you have players who haven't really played. Who's in form here other than Evelyn Vienne? I think a player like Evelyn Vienne could play well here. More than likely, I think Bev goes with Jordan Heidema. Heidema is in better form. So you go Heidema up top with Leon on one wing and then Lacasse on the other wing. And then you substitute in both Rose and Prince for fitness as you go through. I think that's your starting 3. And then Christine Sinclair coming on either in relief of that 9 up top a Haidama, or what I think is the more interesting choice is having her come in as relief for one of those two midfielders, either a Grosso or a Fleming, and then bringing in an Evelyn Vienne for a Jordan Haidama as an option. I think that could be what you see, and then so essentially your first three subs off the bench are more than likely players like, yeah, I think your first three subs off the bench are probably Sinclair, Vienne, Deanne Rose, and Nichelle Prince. I think they'll run most of that midfield well. I think with it only being 5, the rotation is going to have to be key here. You're trying to play this to win a tournament, not necessarily win the game, though you do need those points. And with teams like Nigeria and then the Ireland, Republic of Ireland coming in, I think ultimately that might be your best starting 11, and then those 4 players coming through. But this is very interesting. I think this is still good enough to get out of the group, and then it comes down to matchups after that. I think this World Cup is deep enough that you get to the 16, and then it's about matchups, and from there it'll be interesting. But yeah, this is Canada's 23. Again, the big surprise is Olivia Smith making it over a player like Marie-Yasmine Alidou. I don't know what she has to do to make this squad. Clearly there's more trust there than that. Interesting factoid of the players selected, really only 2 didn't play for the development, which isn't bad, but also speaks to the reality of finding great national team players outside of that pool, right? That's not to say that they aren't there. That's not to say that they're there everywhere. But I think it's an interesting factoid that of everyone here. Well, Evelyn Vienne didn't play youth. Chloe Lacasse didn't play youth for Canada. And then Vanessa Gilles didn't play youth for Canada. Other than those 3, the remaining 20 all played at some level. 15, 17, 19, or U20. It speaks to the development track, but it just says also that if a player isn't there, it's very difficult for them to break into that. But this World Cup's doing well, guys. If you're not Canadian, how do you feel they do? If you are Canadian, how do you think this team will do? Let me know in the comments down below. We're gonna wrap it up here.